Tommy Chris here for another edition of Tommy Chris TV. Our guest today is John Sferra, drummer for the legendary Glass Harp. I know you're going to like this show. Stay with us. Well, John, welcome to the show.
Hey, Tommy.
It's great to see you again,
Same
and
here.
it's been quite a while, actually. I haven't seen you. You saw me, but I didn't see you at the Bull and Bear.
Yep.
I think I'm going to say maybe at the recording studio in Newton Falls. I think you were baking the tape or something.
Oh, that was when we were, we had an old tape from
Right.
the Glass Harp live at Carnegie Hall. It was supposed to be the Glass Harp's third album back in 1971 or 72. But the record company had us go back into the studio to do a third album. And this tape back in those days was lost for like, God, 20-some years.
Mm-hmm.
And we contacted the engineer at the sessions, for the session we did, and it was already mixed, mastered, and everything. And it was in his bedroom closet, and he found it.
So what does baking do to it?
Well, it was on tape, so after so many years, tape oxidizes, it basically rusts.
Right.
So all the information is on the tape. So what you do is you put it in an oven at like 125 degrees, and you cook it, and it's supposed to make all that oxidated loose tape adhere again.
And talk about how the Glass Harp formed. I had 1968 here. Is that correct? Is that true?
I think that's
Accurate?
right. Yeah, that's pretty good. We, you know, I met Phil in the 8th grade, and he was in Sister Mary Charles' room, and I forget whose room I was in, but my teacher at that time. But
Did she ever get you with a hickory stick or what?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, I used to get hit for playing Wipeout. She would always say, "Break, John, play that song I love," you know, and I'd say, "Well, she likes Wipeout, I'm going to do it." So anyway, Phil's doing show and tell, and he brought his Mosrite electric guitar, and Sister Mary Charles says, "Phil says he knows Wipeout on the guitar. You always play on your desk. Would you like to play it?" And I'm, "Oh, sure," you know. So that's how we met. The Glass Harp formed later. Phil was already, at that time, Phil was playing with some older college kids. So we found a great bass player, Steve Marklin. And we started a 3-piece band, and we started playing and gigged around for about a year, and then Steve announced to us one day that he was going to, one rehearsal, that he was offered a job with his cousin Ting's band, The Human Being.
Enter Danny Pecchio.
Basically, yeah, we had another guy, John Carazino, for about 6 months.
Okay.
And then one rehearsal, he came and said, "Well, I'm joining the Navy."
Oh, God.
So we're like, gee. And then we...
It's like that thing you do. Did you see that movie, That Thing You
Yeah,
Do?
that was great. I love that.
Oh, that was a great
I like
movie.
that show. And so Dan was out of a job, and Glass Harp, you know, we had bookings and playing probably 3 and 4 nights a week.
Where did My World Come From?
Okay,
what
that
song was that?
That was from the UA recordings. We did an album, Where Did My World Come From, and the flip side was She Told Me. And
now, did you write Where Did My World Come From?
Both of those songs were written by Phil. And Where Did My World Come From was kind of like a psychedelic mixture of what we heard on Sgt. Pepper's and that sort of thing. It had a lot of wah-wah pedal.
Do you still have a copy of it?
I do.
So now, the next step is what? Lou Merenstein, how did you get your demos to him?
Well, we were, Daniel was in the band, and we were playing a lot of gigs, and we were at Mill Creek Park Ballroom, and which was a big venue for all the bands, and they brought in a lot of big acts. I mean, Buddy Rich played there, you know, many big acts. So we were just doing a teen dance, and apparently this Chip Killinger was working for Warner Brother Records. He was a record promoter in Cleveland. He pushed the different acts that were coming through Warner Brothers, international stuff. So he was looking to find talent in the area, and he heard about Glass Harp from someone, and he was at the ballroom when we played. And I remember he came backstage. So we signed a contract with Chip and Bill Abel, Chip Killinger and Bill Abel. Bill worked for Chrysalis, and he did the same job. He was an A&R dude, and he had produced Van Morrison's Astral Wheats, several other things, and he was in a jazz thing too, but he was moving, and he was very popular and had a big track record in the mainstream of music then. So they formed their own production company, Lewis and these two attorneys, and Chip said, talked with them, and he had said there is going to be a battle of the bands in Akron, and these guys are going to be there. They're going to be the judges, and whoever wins this battle of the bands will get a look over by these people, possibly for a record contract and that sort of thing. The producers, you know, came and saw us again. Actually, we were playing with Blue Ash. They were doing their clone of Tommy, and we went up. We opened for them and just did our set. And Merenstein and his engineer came out, and within 2 weeks we were at Electric Ladyland Studios in New York City. And there was a contract for three albums and 3 singles. At that time it was vinyl.
Yeah, oh yeah. So now you're with Decca Records, and you guys start doing pretty well.
Yeah, we got on a lot of tours. We were hooked up with a giant booking agency. It wasn't the William Morris Company. It was called Premier.
I remember them.
And they were large, huge, internationally, and they booked Alice Cooper, Humble Pie. The last studio, when we did an album called It Makes Me Glad, it was the last in those 3 for Decca, and Phil had announced to us beforehand that, you know, he had been born again, became a Christian it was called the Jesus Freak movement.
Right.
You know,
and I know a lot of
something
people
more.
were very disappointed to hear that. How disappointed were you?
I was really disappointed. I mean, we all felt, and as we look back now, you can tell Glass Harp was on the cusp of doing something major nationally and internationally. When he joined up with the Christian ministry thing, he really I want to do this. I want to put my music for Jesus.
The Tim Burks thing didn't work out.
Well, we were with Tim as Glass Harp for about a year, but the chemistry was not really Glass Harp. I mean, you know, when Phil left, you know, what we did with Phil as our spearhead was a little bit different. We were both very disappointed, and you know, Dan tried to convince Phil that, hey, you know, you could reach more people if you're playing in a secular group.
So now, you guys stayed in touch through the years,
Absolutely.
Up until the reunion. Now, tell us about how the reunion came about. Like, we're talking about, well, the breakup was in what,
73. Yeah.
And then 8 years later, there was the first reunion.
Yeah, that was in 1980.
81.
Yeah. Well, Phil and I stayed in contact all the time, and Dan and Phil did as well. In the early 80s, there in 81, like you said, I think Phil's manager at the time was watching a video of the WVIZ concert of Glass Harp, the simulcast concert, and they were at Phil's house watching it, and he really liked. He said, you know, that guy, I like that drummer. He really kind of puts a fire under your butt. Phil had come around in town in 81, was playing in Pennsylvania, and did a couple concerts, and he said, why don't you and Dan come up and we'll do a Glass Harp set in the middle of my concert.
He was naked and ashamed. Tell me who's riding, John Revelation. Tell me who's riding, John Revelation. Who's riding, John Revelation. On the boat of the seven seals. John was on the Isle of Patmos, exiled and driven away, but he received that revelation.
So the CDs on your own.
I've had one I put out in '96, just a solo thing of a collection of songs that I've had for a long time, and I wanted to do something with it. Do a Glass Harp concert in Kent, March 1st at the Kent stage. And then we're going to play at the Fur Piece Ranch, Jorma Kagakaran, I forget the last name, but he played bass with the Jefferson Airplane. And he's been doing this thing in Pomeroy, Ohio, and it's like a band camp. But it's not going to be a training or a camp type thing.
Now, where's this going to be?
It's going to be a concert. It's near the university in Pomeroy, down by Columbus.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be playing there on May 11th, and we're going to play in a really nice venue in Franklin, PA, the day after in May, around May 12th. And you can check all this stuff at glassharp.net. I think that perfect happiness to me would be growing.
You like smiling? Okay, well, that's good.
I think
smiling is good. How about your greatest fear? What do you
fear? Itself.
No, come on.
As our famous president.
That's a cop. No, I should have told you you weren't allowed to use that. So which historical figure do you most identify with?
I say Jesus.
You know what? Somehow I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. Like my life is very secure, you know, and I'm really fortunate, you know, with what I did. But like little day by day insecurities, like, oh man, are you ready to play this drum part? But I understand what Beyonce, I mean, I would think about that too. It's 20 degrees out there. It's for the president. Billions of people are watching it.
Well, obviously Kelly Clarkson wasn't insecure about it.
Yeah, she did it good. She came out and banged it out.
Wow, she was great.
But, so I don't know how to think. I really don't think it's a big deal myself.
Well, the greatest fear for something like that would be what happened to Milli Vanilli.
Oh, yeah.
And then what happened to the Simpson girl, not Jessica Simpson's sister.
Yeah, I know who you mean. I can't remember the
She
names.
went on David Letterman or something one night, and the CD started. Oh no, the drummer booted up the same song they had already done.
Oh man!
And they started playing over again, and she turned around and she didn't know what to do, so she did an Irish jig and walked off the stage.
We had to play on this television show that was a teenage show in the afternoon, and a local celebrity, I think it was in Memphis, and everything was lip synced. And the next song comes up. And the needle on the record comes right down in the middle of the song.
Oh no!
We're like, it was hilarious.
So you don't like insecure people? What's your favorite journey that you've ever taken? What's your favorite place you've ever been to?
Well, I wouldn't say I don't like insecure people. Like I said, all human beings are insecure. Well, I just want the people at home to realize that I am not a. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, journey to my fiance's house, my love. Heidi's house.
Good answer.
54 miles.
That'll win some points. Which words or phrases do you most overuse?
Cool.
Okay.
Man.
You did in your life that you most regret?
Not going to college and getting a degree in something.
That's a biggie.
In my youth. You know, there's still hope for me yet. Who knows? I'm only 60.
That's right, you could go back.
I can go back to school, and I don't know what I would study.
And you might live to be 90.
Yeah.
And you'd have a lot of years to use your degrry, right?
I would get a degree in probably something that's not worth a lot of money, you know. So I don't know if I really would want to go back and get a degree in music, because I'm not going to go and become a teacher. state of mind. Well, I'm happy. I love my family. I was married 25 years to a wonderful woman who passed away from breast cancer first, then it complicated into brain cancer.
I'm sorry.
And she was, that was 6 years ago, but that was,
Children?
she was an incredible experience. Yes, I have a stepdaughter, Holly,
Okay.
that I was with since she was 8 years old. Val and I got married at that point. And that's a wonderful thing to have her in my life and my grandkids.
Now, did you remarry?
No, I haven't remarried.
Okay.
But who knows? But some people people build up in their lives of staying austere and not going out of the lines of things. But what's really happening is you don't want to make a mistake, and you don't want to be perceived by others as making a mistake. So therefore, you don't do it. And what you're stopping yourself from acting in life. Sometimes.
Favorite literary writer? Who would that be?
Okay, well, yeah, I'm.
Writers.
Since
Doesn't
the
have to be
internet, I'm not reading all that much, but well, I always had a book, something interesting I thought was really great, and you'd have it, and read it. But I like Tolkien, of course, and he's real literature. He's probably going to be a classic someday, And of course, all the stuff we read in high school, a lot of that I enjoyed, that Steinbeck and all that, Hemingway, Michael Crichton.
Mm-hmm.
Jurassic Park. I read that book first. That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Then I read a lot of his books.
How was, I didn't read the book, but how closely was the movie to the book?
The book was more. There was
Yeah.
more. They condensed a lot of things.
Right.
In fact, they made 2 movies, right? When they went to the second film.
Oh, that's true,
It
yeah.
takes place more of what's going on with the Genka, whatever it was called.
Genco or no.
Whatever that science.
The company.
Yeah, the
that
company.
that was
But
sponsoring
in the original, in Jurassic Park, it was all fixed in.
Songwriters. Who are your favorite songwriters?
Lennon and McCartney, George Harrison, Bob Dylan. Who's the Dave Brubeck?
Mm-hmm.
He was, that's great stuff. John Anderson, Robert Fripp, Joni Mitchell. Although I don't know a lot of her titles and stuff, all I know is when I hear it, I know exactly who she is, and I love the music and the lyrics to it.
Mm-hmm. Joni Mitchell's great.
A movie, yeah. Phenomenal musician. The Motown writers. I think there's a lot of Smokey Robinson, even Steve Miller wrote Grapevine. Heard it through the grapevine, and he was one of the crew in the Motown thing. I don't know all the names of the.
You mean Steve Miller,
Steve Miller. Who did I say? I don't know. Whatever. Steve Miller, the guy that did the big hits in the '80s, the couple of records.
the rock guitarist, singer.
Yeah.
Well, what Miller were you talking about?
Steve
previously?
Miller Heard It Through the Grapevine.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, the one about big old jet airliner.
Oh, I didn't know he wrote Grapevine.
Yeah, he wrote Grapevine.
I thought that was written by Norman Whitfield and
He was in the. I read
some other Motown writers.
I read a Rolling Stone interview back in the day about him when he was big, and he had said that he was in the. He was part of the recording people in the Motown, era and all that too.
So what's on the horizon for John Sferra?
Well, I'm, very much into recording. I have it's a non-commercial studio. I do production, and for artists, local songwriters. I'm working with people all over Nashville, and and I'm going to pursue that. I really enjoy the process of recording, and I want to continue doing that. I have about 6 or 7 tunes of my own, kind of in the can. I want to get a few more.
Now you travel a lot too, don't you? I mean, you do a lot of gigs out of town.
Off and on, yeah.
Okay.
I do a lot of gigs with Phil, and Glass Harp does a little bit of traveling and stuff. We started, let's do a project, the 3 of us, call it the Trio, and Phil's, me and Jack said, well, we call the first one Phil Keaggy Trio, call all of them the Phil Keaggy, because he's the most famous.
thought about relocating to be closer to it?
I have, and
Nashville or wherever.
I have. I've had a lot of invitations. Why don't you come to Nashville? Or,
Sure.
You should be in New York or L.A. early on.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know. I guess it's not really an excuse. I'm not that hungry to be, the man. To be, I am a successful. That's all good, and I do want to work and all that. But I guess maybe roots here. I was married for 25 years, enjoyed my life and all that, where I was at. And then as time went on, like I said, back in the 90s, Phil, his record company flew me in to Nashville to play, and I'm here, I'm at Phil's house. I didn't even have to stay at a hotel.
Yeah.
And then with the digital thing coming on, now I'm working with 2 Nashville producers, doing tracks for them, or some other folks from Florida and things. And so now it's really not a must that you need to be where the hub is, whether it's LA, New York, or Nashville. And also, too, with the demise with desktop publishing of the huge monopolies of the music industry, record labels don't control who gets published and who gets released anymore. In the old days, you had to go to the record company with your songs. Now you do it yourself.
Do it yourself, or publishing, if they can place a song for you with someone,
And of course, it's, it's always good to have a connection, but it's all changed now. So you really can, and you'll see that a lot of people are living all over different places and recording. And, all the musicians can communicate with each other wherever they live. So
you get frustrated with technology, but I love it.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it without. I think about going back to recording analog reel-to-reel tape now. It's just so foreign to me. Not that it's a bad thing, because people still do it, because people prefer that sound, that rounder, warmer sound. It's still okay to like that stuff, but me personally, I love the technology.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's all good.
Sure.
It's all creativity and art.
Whatever you want to do is fine. Yeah. Well, John, I want to thank you for coming by. Yeah, I'm getting a little. Aren't you getting some hunger pangs?
I'm ready to eat. I'm ready for lunch.
John Sferra of the Glass Harp, everybody. Thanks for coming by. It was great having you here.
Thanks,
it's been
Tommy,
a slice of heaven.
Talking with you,
truly.
and the opportunity to
discuss
things.
By
with
all
you.
means, please come back someday soon.
Hey, we'll do it.
Okay.
We'll do it again.
For John Sferra, I'm Tommy Chris. Everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Ciao, baby.